You've no doubt come across the productivity gurus online who promise that if you get all the things done that you need to do, you're successful, you've made it. I think there's this idea that if we do all the things that we want to do, we're going to be more fulfilled, but I don't think that's the case. So in this video, I'm going to talk a bit about why we seem to be, as a culture or a society, so obsessed with cramming as much in as possible and putting a case forward for why we shouldn't do everything we want to do if we want to live a fulfilling life, and what you should do instead. So why do we try to do everything? As human beings, I think we have an uncomfortable relationship with time. I certainly do. I think losing my dad when I was 13 years old, it just made me so much more aware of the finality of life. But sometimes I think I take it too far, and I'm definitely someone who has crammed too much in all at once and ended up burning out. And according to Oliver Burkeman in his book, the average human lives for 4,000 weeks, which seems really quite depressing and frustrating when you think about it. And of course, being reminded of the finite nature of our existence isn't really something that us humans like to be reminded of. There never seems to be enough time for us to do all the things that we want to get done. And Oliver Burkeman talks about how we tend to create what's called bottomless bucket lists. So these are events and experiences that we sign up for because we fear missing out on them. I think in the back of our minds, we have a sense that time is running out. We try and fight against it by cramming in every single experience that we want to do in the hope that somehow we can get ahead of time. But the reality is that I think there's always going to be things that we want to do. There's always going to be things added to those bottomless bucket lists. And so why shouldn't you do everything? So this constant striving to get more and more done is futile if we think about it. Like our to-do lists, once we've done something on our bottomless bucket list, something else will catch our eye and will get added onto it. But if you're constantly striving to feel fulfilled with all these different experiences, it's almost like you're chasing a finish line that's moving further and further away from you. Maybe you think that, well, if I just do that thing, that will be it. That will be my life fulfilled. But the danger is you may never get to that place. And part of me thinks there's a sense of, well, what about the here and now? How do we make life more fulfilling right now rather than chasing the next best experience? So what can we do instead? Well, one of the key things is acceptance. And Oliver Burkeman says that in order to live a fulfilling life, we need to face the fact that we won't be around forever. And whilst this all might sound a bit morbid, actually you can use that to help you live more presently in the here and now. You can be reminded that tomorrow is never guaranteed. And so therefore, what matters right now in this moment? What is going to be the best thing you can do right now? Another part of acceptance is accepting that you won't be able to do everything that you want to do. And far from this being frustrating, actually it's quite liberating because you can stop putting pressure on yourself and striving to do these things. There's a school of thought that says that if everything is meaningful, then nothing is meaningful. Because in order for something to be meaningful, we need to be able to distinguish it from things that aren't meaningful. Which brings me on to the next tip, which is embrace the joy of missing out. And this also comes from Oliver Burkeman's book. Missing out on things in life is guaranteed, but the meaningful stuff we do is only meaningful because you're willing to sacrifice doing something else for the sake of this particular thing. And missing out isn't something we should fear. Missing out is what makes our choices meaningful in the first place. And that's the secret of a fulfilling life. Knowing what matters to you the most and living it as much as possible. Another tip to living a fulfilling and meaningful life is letting go of the unhealthy habits that are no longer serving you and possibly holding you back in life. And if you'd like to know the unhealthy habits that I'm letting go of, then check out the video that's on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.